What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk a little bit about the Game Awards. We got our first official news drop for it, and it's actually kind of in anticipation for Monday, right? So Monday morning, I believe 9 a.m. Pacific time, they're going to be unveiling the nominees and nominations for the Game Awards in general. And in this video, I want to talk a little bit about kind of what comes after, but even just to stick on that just for a second, pretty exciting. It's something I always root for certain games, and like last year I really wanted Alan Wake to just do as well as humanly possible. I definitely got some games this year that I'm pulling for, but one thing that I always tend to say, and I do mean it, and I'm gonna say it Monday when I probably do my predictions video as well. You gotta remember, this is a panel, this is a bunch of gaming journalists. It's the people that us as consumers generally say here and there that we don't really trust. I mean, there's a lot of people that do trust the review scores and stuff, and I don't know, there's a lot that goes into it. For me specifically, I always look at okay, well, which games are almost in too many categories. When I do my stuff, I like to kind of space it around. I mean, look, sometimes great games are just great, you know what I mean, and they kind of lead all categories, but sometimes you'll have the issue of games almost winning too many. Me specifically, or my opinion specifically, Last of Us Part 2, when it felt like, at least, that it really just ran the table back in 2020. I was not a big fan of that one. Or, a big thing that I always kind of call out with these things is, I'm not necessarily a fan of that cutoff date. I understand you have to do it, but games that released this year aren't even, some of them are not even considered for the Game Awards, right? In Indiana Jones, I believe, is past the cutoff. So, it literally cannot win anything, even though it comes out this year. And I know the Emmys do that and the Oscars. I think they're all kind of stupid, though, for that reason. So, I love the Game Awards as an idea. I love him kind of jumping into the mainstream. I love, obviously, the world reveals and all that jazz. When it comes to who, or which game, I should say, not necessarily who, what is winning what things, I mean, I truly, sometimes, again, I root for games, but also in a large sense, I could care less, okay? But it is fun to kind of pick around and say, okay, well, what could win this thing, or what's going to lose this thing? So Monday, I will do a predictions video, and I'm going to go over what I think the journalists are going to say, not my own. I'm going to do my own Game of the Year awards like I did last year, towards the end of December, and I'll have my own stuff, whether it's, categories, nominations, and then winners, okay? But another thing I kind of want to talk about just really quickly in this video is, where we go from here. A friend of mine was actually talking to me about this just a few days ago, actually, where we're like, yeah, they're running out of weeks, and, it's going to get kind of more fast and furious as we get closer, but you imagine this is the start, and I think Jeff has said before, I think on Twitter, that he already has done the hype trailer for it, and hype trailers are very 50-50, right? I feel like it used to be almost a sign of what's to come, and now Jeff just does hype trailers that have nothing to do with the show itself, which could be smart marketing in terms of literally getting people excited, but it has it's really misleading, let's say. So we do have a hype trailer that I'm sure will be coming, and I'm sure, honestly, probably next week, right? Because the week after is Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving is late, so I imagine next week we start to get some of the hints or outright confirmations, right? We know for the Game Awards, or really for any Jeff Keighley show, he'll announce specific things. Going into it, we'll probably know 10, 12, 15, things. Now, the good thing with the Game Awards, the thing that makes it my favorite show of the year, is there's so many announcements, right? Big and small. And he has, I would say, a nice blend of them. So even if we know 15 things, I mean, on average, there's probably 30 to 40 announcements every year. And actually, I feel like it keeps going up. I think I counted one time that it obviously has gone up in terms of new games being announced. So, even if he gives away a couple of them leading in, I don't think he's going to obviously give away the biggest ones. I'm sure those will be surprises. But, those are things I think we can probably start to look for starting next week. Because, I don't know. I don't really think you would do it the Thanksgiving Day, Black Friday. You kind of lose the second half of that week. And then you only have a week and a half left. So I think this is obviously the start to it. It's the first thing we get. I think the player's choice, or whatever he calls it, that would probably kick into effect on Monday as well. I mean, that kind of goes back to that first point, right? I personally don't care what the game journalists say is their favorite thing, because I have my own favorite things, but, there is that one category that we get to do our thing, and I honestly, I feel like Black Myth Wukong might just win that one. I wouldn't necessarily agree, but at least, I mean, for the love of God, thank you. at least people get a chance to, say something, right? Kind of have their own say. So we'll see what happens. I am definitely excited though, and I want to see the spread. Like, let's see, is there like clean sweeps? Is Final Fantasy in 15 categories? Or, this year was pretty diverse, okay? It had a lot of different kinds of games, kind of front heavy with like JRPGs, but then kind of all over the place, right? And, like the Astrobots of the world. And then, but you had the Black Myths and Stellar Blades, and then you could throw in some of the JRPGs of Metaphor and Persona and Infinite Wealth, and there was a lot of different kinds of games this year. So we'll see how many. I want a lot of representation, because I do think there were a lot of really good games, and some of them that really shined in like one particular way, but maybe not other ways, right? And obviously that's where these nominations and these categories come in quite handy, because maybe a game did like literally two things well, and maybe not, maybe everything else was fine, but like those two things were outstanding. Well, there you go, right? So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.